There is no perfect curriculum to teach science. The good news, however, there is a perfect or nearly perfect curriculum for your family. Welcome to Science Unsnarled. My name is Deanne, and I am a science survivor. You see, science was boring to me in grade school. When I hit high school and college, I found science very difficult, although by the grace of God and much white-knuckled studying, I completed my degree as a registered nurse. Fast forward 20 years and suddenly I'm a homeschool mom struggling to teach science. That is until I met people passionate about science, people who inspired me to fall in love with the natural world. When it came time to dissect the owl pellets and cow heart with my children, I was all in. Science was fun and it had meaning. Here at Rainbow Resource Center, I am one of a team of curriculum consultants available to answer your questions. And like you, some of us love science, while others react so strongly to the thought of teaching science that they avoid it at all costs. And then there's the rest that land neatly between the two. No matter which one of us you speak with, we will focus on the most important factors that impact your decision in choosing science curriculum. We call these your family factors. So grab a cup of coffee or tea in the Science Unsnarled handout link below. Unlike math and language arts, there are no Common Core state standards for science. However, several states have come together to create next-generation science standards. Often abbreviated as NGSS, the standards focus on 4 science domains: the physical sciences, the life sciences, the earth and space sciences, and engineering technology, and the applications of science. The goal is for students to learn how 4 science domains are interconnected and understand the importance of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, also known as the 4 STEM fields, in everyday life. Like the Common Core standards, there are pros and cons. It's good to prioritize a strong foundation in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. On the flip side, topics are often covered widely without depth. There is also the danger of moving children too quickly through the material before they understand the concepts. So what does this mean to us as homeschoolers? We should be aware of what our state requires of us. And this information can be found at most state education websites or at the Homeschool Legal Defense Association website. If you're using your local state education website, be sure to search the homeschool science requirements. States may have different requirements for schools and homeschoolers. We will also want to understand the curriculum choices available and how they meet or don't meet standards. Know the children we will be teaching. How do they learn best? Is science something they enjoy? If teaching older children is a science-based career in their future, based on the answers to these questions, choose a curriculum that meets the needs of your learner. If you are required to meet standards, there are several curricula available, but don't feel that they are your only options. If a non-standards-based curriculum is a better fit for your child, it's possible to add a standards-based supplemental workbook, like the 180 Days of Science, Core Skill Science, Spectrum Science, or the STEM Engaging Hands-On Challenges from teacher-created resources. If they love science, find a program that will feed their interest. Science lovers, and even those resistors, may enjoy a curriculum that focuses on their personal interest. For example, Apologia Zoology or the Real Science Odyssey Astronomy. I imagine at this point you have talked to your friends and surfed the web looking for science curriculum. And I suspect you have heard lots of opinions about what is best. Well, friends, I have some good news and some bad news for you. First, the bad news. There is no perfect curriculum to teach science, or any other subject for that matter. The good news, however, there is a perfect or nearly perfect curriculum for your family. Here at Rainbow, we recognize that families are not the same, which is the reason we offer hundreds of options. As a company, we want you to have the opportunity to choose the best fit for your family. While this may sound overwhelming, we have tried to simplify this with our easy-to-remember yet effective acronym, FAMILY. You can use this acronym to choose curriculum in all subject areas. But in this video, I will focus on the key family factors for choosing science curriculum. If you would like to see a general overview of the family acronym, see our Family Way workshop via the link in the description. But let's get started. The F in our acronym refers to faith and philosophy. One of the first considerations in choosing a science program is the worldview of the author or publisher. If you look at the Rainbow Resource Center curriculum comparison chart for science, you will notice that we separate religious content into 3 areas: Christian, neutral, and secular. Let's quickly define these terms. Christian materials are founded on the belief that God created. Most publishers of homeschool curriculum teach from a young earth perspective, meaning the earth is roughly 6,000 years old. Examples of this would be Abeka Science, Apologia, Berean Builders, BJU Science, Master Book Science, and the Science Shepherd courses. There are a couple of publishers that teach from a creation perspective, but allow flexibility for parents to teach the age of the earth based on their beliefs. Reason for Science teaches creation without defining the age of the earth. The instructor guide encourages parents to share their personal beliefs about the earth age with their children. Sunlight Science takes a similar approach. Written from a Christian worldview, many of the core living books include evolution or an older timeline. The instructor guide gives teachers helpful information on how to teach alternate views while giving you freedom to teach from your beliefs. Newer editions of Sunlight are aligned with the next-gen standards. Navari Science, now available from Classical Academic Press, offers middle and high school science curriculum that promotes God's magnificent kingdom through the lens of current scientific understanding. Often called an older science perspective, they believe that science supports a universe that is 13.77 billion years old and the Earth is 4.6 billion years old. Our next designation is neutral. Neutral simply means the author has decided to not teach origins. There is no creation, there is no evolution. The subject is completely avoided. Examples of neutral curriculum would be Real Science for Kids, Focus on Science, or Exploring the Building Blocks of Science, both from Gravitas Press. Covering similar content, Focus on Science takes a one-semester in-depth look at a different science topic, like chemistry, physics, biology, and astronomy. These courses are multi-level, meaning they are divided into different age ranges, specifically K through 3 and 4 through 6. The author does recommend that all students begin with chemistry. Also available, the Exploring the Building Blocks series is a grade-specific course for K through 7 that teaches all of the branches of science in 1 year. Discover Science is a newer program that has been developed for homeschool families. Written from a neutral perspective, this grade-level program meets current standards. Also at the upper levels, middle and high school, Paradigm Accelerated Curriculum provides an independent approach that uses text and activity books. There are no labs included, which may be an important consideration at the high school level. Secular materials are often from a mainstream educational publisher. They will teach evolution and the Big Bang Theory to explain how we came to exist. These materials may also include human sexuality and environmental issues from a contemporary perspective. Science curricula from secular publishers include Savas Elevate Science and their high school biology and chemistry courses, My Pals Are Here from Marshall Cavendish, and Real Science Odyssey from Pandia Press. Knowing the worldview of the publisher will help you find a program that will align with your beliefs. As you consider the faith and philosophy of a curriculum, there are other personal factors to consider. Here are just a few conversations I've had with other parents. I'm a Christian, but I have bought some Christian curriculum that my friends told me about, and it's not a good fit for our family. It doesn't line up with our belief. Or maybe this describes you. We are a religious family, but I want to teach academics apart from religion. We also work with many families that homeschool through a public charter school and use state funds for curriculum purposes, which will have an impact on your decision. The key is to trust your instincts and use the family way structure to make the best decision for your family. The curriculum your neighbor or church friend raves about may not be right for you. Our next letter in our family acronym is A, which refers to approaches. Understanding an author-publisher's educational approach helps you understand which programs fit you and your student best. Let's look at the common approaches and their advantages and disadvantages. First is the traditional textbook. Traditional textbooks are grade-specific and include content from the branches of science, life, physical, earth and space, and engineering and technology. This may be more familiar as it is the approach used in most schools. There are advantages like less teacher planning time is needed, tests make it easier to assign grades, and they frequently align with any federal or state standards. There are disadvantages as well. For example, there is less freedom for a flexible schedule or to do a more in-depth study of topics your children are interested in. The topics are frequently taught without a lot of depth. And finally, the emphasis is on short-term mastery and test taking. Next is the Charlotte Mason approach, which may also be called nature studies or the living books approach. The focus is studying the world around us. There are common threads, but this approach is unique to each family. For a successful nature study, access to the outdoors is vital. If this is not realistic for your family, you will want to recreate habitats with anthills, butterfly gardens, aquariums, and the like. You will also need quality living books, field guides, science or nature encyclopedias, and observation tools like binoculars or magnifying glasses. Pencils, colored pencils, and sketch paper should also be available for creating a nature journal based on observations and research. If you're not familiar with living books, they are books written by someone with a passion for the subject. Most living books are written in a conversational or narrative style. Examples of living books include the Let's Read and Find Out About Science series and books written by authors like Gail Gibbons, Diana Aston, or Jeannie Bendick. If you would like to build a personal library of quality living books, be sure to look at the Sunlight Science, 5 in a Row, and the Beautiful Feet Science book list. These publishers have built their reputation on selecting the best living books available. The advantage of this approach is that parents can take advantage of a child's natural curiosity. Children can be guided toward independent learning through readily available resources. And the Charlotte Mason approach works well for teaching different ages together. The main disadvantages include costs. It may be more expensive to build a personal library of living books and resources. To save money, use your library for some of the resources. This allows you to purchase frequently used books or family favorites. A few of my favorite resources to create your own nature study are the Handbook of Nature Study, Natural Science Through the Seasons, the Nature Connection, and the Thinking Tree Fun Schooling Nature Journals. Some families find they need more structure, especially when they first begin following the Charlotte Mason philosophy. Next is the unit study approach, which takes one topic and studies all or nearly all academic subjects as they relate to the topic. For example, a unit study on birds may include bird anatomy, nest building, and the study of flight and migration in science, the history of bird watching, famous bird watchers, and the maps of migration in social studies, copywork, poem memorization, vocabulary, and research in language arts, and measuring flight distances for math. The advantages of the unit study approach include children of all ages can learn together, and you also have the flexibility to spend more time digging into a topic to accommodate a child's specific interests. There are disadvantages, however. Teacher involvement is almost always high. Unit studies also do not follow a traditional scope and sequence and will not align to standards. There are very few prepared science-based unit studies available, although all unit studies will integrate science into the topic of study. For example, in the Prairie Primer, which centers on the Little House series from Laura Ingalls Wilder, integrates physical, life, and earth science as it relates to the literature. Or the New Layers of Learning unit study that offers a separate unit on science. Year 1 covers earth and space science. Finally, let's take a quick look at the classical approach to science. When looking for a science curriculum from a classical approach, you may notice that recommended topics or subjects are studied in the 4-year pattern that corresponds to the classical timeline. Along with the 4-year cycle, this approach to science applies classical methods to science, including memorization of facts and recording and explaining data. There are advantages to this approach. The classical approach is known to be academically rigorous. There is also continuity between science and history. Disadvantages include the classical studies may be too rigid for some students. This approach also does not follow a traditional scope and sequence, and many do not align to standards. If you would like to check out curricula from the classical approach, take time to learn more about elemental science, Memoria Press science, or Navari science. I know we have spent a lot of time on the different approaches to science, and it is important as it enables you to understand how different curriculum will present science topics. But now let's spend a few minutes on how to find the best fit for you and your child to finish out the other family factors. The next letter in our acronym is M, which represents money. Out of all the family factors, this is the one that people don't like to talk about. Honestly, as much as we want to ignore cost factors, few of us have the luxury of indifference. Most of the years I homeschooled, my budget was small. There was at least one year that I had $300 available to buy curriculum for both my children. Research shows that the average cost to homeschool ranges from $700 to $1,800 per child per year. It's important to remember this represents families on both ends of the spectrum. Would you be surprised to learn that this is much less than the public school average, which is a whopping $16,000 per child per year in 2023? When it comes to budgeting, it is important to remember that you have choices, and if budget is a concern, we are to help you stay within your budget. Budget-friendly options may include using multi-level programs, which means the science text covers more than one grade level, so all children can learn together, which saves money and time. Examples of multi-level texts include the Apology at Elementary Science, Brand Builders, God's Design Science, and the Science Shepherd Elementary and Middle School curricula, which are all from a Christian perspective. If you prefer a neutral or secular perspective, you may want to look at the Gravitas Press Focus on Science, or Science Chunks, and Sassafras Science, Ellen McHenry's Basement Science Series, or the Real Science Odyssey. It is often less expensive to teach science at home in the early and middle school years. At the high school level, there may be additional costs for the curriculum and home lab supplies. There are ways to help you keep the cost down in high school. You can join a co-op and share the cost of lab equipment, or use online resources for labs and dissection, if they meet your high school science credit. In our handout, we list numerous online resources to help you teach high school science. The key here is yes, homeschooling costs money, but you can still provide a great education on a budget with a little creativity. Additional resources may be available to assist you with homeschooling finances, including the HSLDA's curriculum grants, Rainbow Resource Center's First Fruit Scholarship, or a public charter school if available in your state. You can find more information about these options through an online search. Our next letter in our acronym is I, which represents individuals. Choosing curriculum that fits our children's learning needs is important in all subject areas. Quickly, let's review the different types of learning styles. The visual learner is easily distracted by new sights. They're good at doing puzzles usually, and they may be very aware of visual details and drawings. Interestingly, they may respond well to colorful illustrations and graphics, although some will find them distracting. Many visual learners do well with video learning or watching an experiment or activity rather than doing it themselves. Gaining in popularity, the reading and writing learning style would be considered a subcategory of the visual learner. These learners are often considered bookworms as they retain information best by reading notes, handouts, and textbooks. They also thrive on writing notes during lectures or rewriting information from the textbook. The auditory learner likes to talk a lot, even to themselves. They will often read out loud or respond orally to the storyline. Even in the upper levels like high school, they may continue to read aloud to themselves. Auditory learners follow oral instruction well. They're often able to answer questions orally but have trouble expressing themselves on paper. Auditory learners may be able to retain information better using audiobooks, videos, or by reading aloud. The kinesthetic and tactile learner are often grouped together in learning style categories, as they have similar but not identical traits. When you consider science curriculum, you may find that the curriculum that meets the need of the kinesthetic learner may not meet the need of a tactile learner. Here are a few notable differences. Kinesthetic learners need to move their whole body. They wiggle, tap, swing their legs. They just can't sit still. They learn through their bodies and their sense of touch. Learning comes more quickly if allowed to do as they are learning. Learning motions for vocabulary words or activities that require whole body movement are key. Think about gardening, cooking, caring for animals, role-playing, and charades will be helpful. Tactile learners, on the other hand, primarily learn through the sense of touch and fine motor movements rather than moving their whole body. Tactile learners learn best through hands-on activities and love to show what they have learned through projects. Hands-on experiments or illustrating nature studies work well for this learner. The beautiful thing about most science curricula is that it will meet the needs of different types of learners, such as visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. The L in our acronym represents life. Let's take a look at your current season of life. Are you teaching preschoolers or high schoolers, or both and everyone in between? Are there any significant upcoming life events, such as pregnancy or a big move, forthcoming? Are there health issues, or are you caring for an elderly parent? Life has an impact on the time you have available to teach science. Flexibility is key. Give yourself permission to make changes, even to that beloved curriculum you have been using for several years. If you're teaching upcoming or current high schoolers, look at the science requirements in your state including any requirements for labs. Also check the requirements for the career path they're interested in right now. This can usually be found on the website of the college they plan to attend or a local state college website. Remember that planning your homeschool around your life puts you in control and helps you stay the course. The Y in our acronym refers to you. Our last consideration is one of the most important factors in choosing a curriculum. Take a moment to consider the following. How much time do you have available? Do you work part-time outside the home or have a home-based business? How much structure do you need? Do you need the support of a teacher guide with laid out lessons or more freedom with your studies? Are you okay with the mess of hands-on activities? Will you be okay dissecting at the kitchen table? It may not be as bad as you think. The key is that you matter. Your needs matter as well. Find a way to balance your individual teaching needs and your child's learning needs. Talk this through with your spouse, a friend, or reach out to us here at Rainbow Resource Center. We will listen and help you find a plan to fit your family's situation. I realize we have flown through a lot of information. I only want to leave you with one final key thought. There is not a one-size-fits-all curriculum that works for every family. You have freedom to select the best one for your family, and that is exciting. Even more exciting is that not all science is learned through a textbook. The world of science is out there waiting for your child to discover it. Do chemistry in the kitchen, take nature walks together, and help children become better observers. Leave bird guides or other science-related books around the house for them to read casually. Take a field trip as a family. Make time to enjoy the world and all the science that is around you. Thank you for joining me today. We are happy to answer your questions. Feel free to call us at 888-841-3456. Email us at consultants@rainbowresource.com or live chat with us on our website during regular business hours.